everybody.
Hi,
welcome,
guys.
welcome to another episode of Marriage
Marriage
Matters.
Matters.
And this is a program where we discuss marriage matters because
Marriage matters.
So we want to just, again, like always, just thank you for joining us for today's show. And we're always just blown away by the love, by the support, by the...
Just all of the positive feedback
positive,
that we're getting.
that's the word I'm looking for. See? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
I'm
mean to
helping you
interrupt
out. Help
Go
mate.
ahead.
Help mate.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but just for all of the positive feedback that we're getting, it's really awesome to just go to your workplace or meet people in the street or in Starbucks, which is where we mostly meet people in Starbucks, that say, hey, I've been watching the show. I really love it. Learning a lot. Y'all keep doing that. So it's really great to get the encouragement and the feedback. And I think the biggest thing for us is that, to know that we are making some sort of impact. So
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah. And it's funny because, that's why I always say you always have to be careful, or not be careful, but be aware. Or let me just say it this way. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of person, I try my best to be authentic and I'm going to be me.
Right.
I don't like to, put on,
Right.
There's a Facebook Live Glenn and there's a real Glenn. There's hopefully everywhere you go, it's the same person. But I remember I went to check Bethany out of school. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the front office, I'm talking to the lady and I think I may have been a little frustrated. I don't remember, but I don't think I was in like the best. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not gonna. I'm just.
Right. Just you.
I'm not gonna take that out on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm talking to the lady behind the counter, she's like, "I watch you."
Really?
And I'm like, "What? What?" She's like, "On the YouTube." I was like, "Oh." I was like, because she kind of took me back.
Oh goodness! What was this?
This was a while back.
Did you tell me about this?
Yeah, you remember? You knew the lady.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
yes,
but
yes.
Anyway, if you're watching,
yeah. Hi, Miss Lewis. I know that was you.
But my point is like it's like people you never know
who's
watching,
Yeah.
And so, but again, I have to say thank you guys for watching and
absolutely.
supporting. Anything else you want to share about that with the people?
No, I think we're learning as we go, and we did the Sunday Drive Live last Sunday, and so Glenn and I had our own feedback and conversation about that, and just really like you said, just really wanting to make sure that we're being authentic and we're not coming on trying to put on whatever, but we're being authentic, just being who we are, and so I know I can be kind of teachy or whatever when, but Glenn communicated with me that, we don't want to get on here and...
She's going to put me on blast.
I am, because we're talking about communication.
You're right.
So this is important.
You're right.
Communicated with me, or reminded me what we're trying to do with Marriage Matters, and not necessarily teach, but have conversation. Am I embarrassing you? Is that why you're looking?
No.
Okay.
I'm glad that you're being authentic.
I am. I'm being authentic.
All right. So anyway,
moving on.
So we always like to recommend things for you guys because this is all about enhancement. I always say, it's not about just, some people say, well, my marriage is great. Well, maybe it could be better. Mm-hmm. So we always want to enhance. So this week's recommendation is the same recommendation we gave last week, which is the Love Nudge app.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have your phone, but I'll get it back when you can pull it up. But anyway, and the reason why I'm going to bring it up again because I forgot to put the link in the comments. But the Love Nudge app,
and this is just to show you
that's
guys
kind of what it looks like
like.
And I'm pretty sure it's available on Apple. I know it's available on Apple.
Yes.
Shout out to all the Appleites out there. But for you Android people, I'm pretty sure it's available like maybe in Google Play or whatever. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Love Nudge, and what this is, it's based on the 5 love languages. And because everybody, and I had to learn this in our marriage, that Tanya, she perceives and receives love different than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for a long time in our marriage, I was trying to love on her the way I wanted to be loved, and it's not the same. She didn't receive love the way I
Right.
receive love. Let me just
Right.
leave it at that. So what the love nudge does is it lets you take a quiz, a test, and it helps you discover what your love languages are.
Right.
And then your spouse does the same thing, and then you link those accounts. And so it sets up it sets up nudges, so
Yeah.
reminders. So like one of Tanya's is maybe acts of service. So you can set reminders in there to like however often you want. Maybe a couple times a week to make sure that you're communicating on purpose in her love language.
Right.
So that's a great app for
really
married
is.
couples, especially couples who are been married for a long time, as well as newlywed couples, because sometimes as you go in marriage, I think sometimes you discover that.
Right.
But maybe we'll do an episode on that, the whole love language thing. But anyway,
Yeah, that would be great.
for newlyweds, you may not know what your spouse
love language.
So it's a great thing. So definitely, it's a free app. Download it, use it, and it'll enhance your marriage. So we're gonna get into today's topic, which is communication. I call it complete communication. So I wanted to. What kind of led into this was I was thinking about, for some reason, I wanted to read this, but I was thinking about the Dreamgirls movie, and in that movie, Beyonce sings this song to Jamie Foxx, who is her husband. Listen.
Yes. Probably one of my favorites.
Yeah,
probably all of those songs are my favorite.
She sang that song.
Yeah.
She sang.
But
But I want to read the lyrics to the chorus to you. We're talking about communication. And I guess I need to give a disclaimer. I do not own the rights to this music. So Beyonce, please don't sue me. I'm not trying to sell this or anything. But, well, she probably didn't write it anyway. I don't know. Anyway, so listen. So the name of the song is Listen. So this is the chorus.
Cover us.
It says, listen, I'm all alone at a crossroads. I'm not at home in my own home. And I've tried and tried to say what's on my mind. You should have known. Now I'm done believing you. You don't know what I'm feeling. I'm more than what you've made of me. I followed the voice you gave to me. But now I'm going to find my own. You should have listened.
Wow. That's heavy.
And so, how many people or how many couples, whether that's the wife or the husband or in the marriage, and there's not, you're talking.
Right.
And you're communicating, but it's not complete.
Right.
It's not complete communication. And one of the things that in that movie that I thought was kind of the point she was making was, Jamie Foxx's character, he had this vision for what his wife,
right,
what he wanted his wife to be.
Right.
He wanted her to be this, movie star or whatever. But she's saying, and he thought he was
doing the right thing.
He thought he was going hard for his
Right.
wife. He thought he was going hard for his family. But at the end of the day, she was like, I never asked for any of that.
Right.
I didn't want any of that.
Right.
I don't like any of that. So it's like, how many times in our marriages we are in that position where,
Right.
I'm doing all these things, and that kind of goes with the love language.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
doing all these things, and and she may be like, okay, that's great,
Right.
but
deep
really-
down inside,
really
she
doesn't
did
do
not
it.
want to be a superstar.
Yeah.
She wanted to be a mother.
Exactly. So let's kind of talk about that. So
Yeah.
what is how, what do you think about that?
I think it's really important to, and it's the title of the song is listen, to really listen and to hear, with your whole heart, to hear with your mind. And when you really know your spouse's love language or love languages, when you really know or remember the person that you married, remember the heart of that person, and you really listen to what they're communicating to you, then you're able to make adjustments if need be, love them in the way that they receive love, because you hit on something key. earlier, that we don't all receive love the same way, and we don't all communicate love the same way. So when we're coming together as husband and wife, we have to learn what our spouses depiction of love is, and learn to communicate to them that way, and get outside of our own personal comfort zone because of the love that we have for that person. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think one of the things when it comes to, and I shared this last week, God had gave me this about communication, and he told me, he said, you need to communicate openly, honestly, and often about everything.
Yeah.
And I think
that's amazing.
I think that honestly thing is something that a lot of times in marriage, I don't know what it is. I know for me, a lot of times I may have been, I'm not gonna say I was afraid. I was afraid of hurting your feelings.
Yeah.
So therefore, I kept my feelings to myself, even though I didn't. It's like, I want to, do such and such, but and I was like, I'm really not feeling that. But because I don't want to hurt my spouse, I'm just gonna go along with it, and I'm gonna just grit my teeth through it. And I'm not going to let on or lead on like I don't want to be here or I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to just do it, and I'm going to be miserable inside. But the problem with that, and I'll say this and I'll finish. The problem with that is it builds up resentment. And so you come to the place to where you're resenting your spouse. And here's the other part of that is your spouse may not even know.
Not even be aware.
That and so now it's 5 years later, and every time you look at him with this grimace look, and you're like, whoa, what I do, and it's like, you always make me do things I don't want to do, and then they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't. They thought that you wanted to. So that's why a part of communication, complete communication, is to be honest.
Yes.
And let the chips fall where they may. I would rather you be honest with me, and my feelings get hurt, than for me to be living this lie 10 years down the road. And you know what? You still got your thought you was going to say, huh? Okay, let me say one more thing. You wonder why, like, you see these couples, like I said, my parents, they were divorced after 22 years, and you're like, how does that happen? Right. Well, this is how it happened. Right. It's not open. It's not honest, and you're just doing things just because you want to be a good wife or you want to be a good husband, and you're not open and you're not honest.
Or you feel that they should just know.
Look, that was part of. That was. Go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I was going to say though that and this is us personally. I can't speak for any other couple, of course, but for us, even in times where you were doing things because you wanted to please me, you were communicating, not verbally, but your communication, and I had to learn this over the years, your communication when you are not happy with something is that you don't communicate verbally. You tend to shut down. And so it may not be, you may not say, I don't want to do that, or I feel like, you're kind of pushing me to do this and I'm not in agreement with it, but you get quiet, you kind of stay to yourself. Yeah. You get this look, I've learned to, I know you, and so, but it took some years to learn those things. And so that is, in fact, communication. Without actually verbalizing what it is that you want to say. But at the same time, like I said, it took some years, or it took some time for me to understand that was what was going on. And then we came to a place to where we began to talk about it, so that was it.
Yeah. So I guess that is communication. But I mean, I'm glad that you recognize that, but to me, that's really not. I think I need, and I still do it, to be honest. I still, sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to do it. But I'm not honest about it. And then when I get there, I do that. I always say I'm very passive aggressive. I won't just come out and get in your face, but I will let you know that, in so many uncertain terms and actions that I don't really want to be here.
Right.
Or I really don't want to do this. And I apologize, but I'm working on it. You know, hey, we're working on it.
I know.
But there's a part in that verse where she says, you should have known. And that statement right there is not, it's not true.
Right.
Even the Bible says that, I think it's like in 2 Corinthians, talks about that the who knows what a man is thinking except for the spirit of a man.
Right.
So it's like for another person to know what you're thinking and feeling. Now, like you said, over the years you've kind of learned based on my actions and my non-communication or my nonverbal communication, what I was thinking. But it's not fair for me. It's not fair for you, for me to think that you should know.
Right.
And especially I can say something like, by now you should know.
Right. I hear that all the time.
From me?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
from you. But just in conversation with other people, they'll
Okay.
say, by now he should know,
And it's like, that's not fair.
Right.
Because I am not a mind reader.
Right.
I am not a sorcerer, or I don't know, a palm reader. I'm not, so
Right.
it's not fair. And so you have got to be honest with your spouse.
Yeah.
And I know it may be uncomfortable. I know it may hurt both ways, but you got to be honest.
Right.
Because if you're not honest, once you're honest, and if feelings get hurt, then from that point
you process through the feelings.
Process through and build a true, authentic, happy relationship.
Right.
But it's nothing worse. I can attest. It's nothing worse than having to pretend like you're happy. It's nothing worse than acting like you want to be there.
Right, and you really don't.
Yeah. And like Tanya said, really, I'm that person. I may not say it, but it's hard for me to do that. I wear my feelings on my face, and and if I don't want to be somewhere, you're gonna know. As much as I try not to, be that way, I'm gonna be that way. It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like I don't know if you ever see the Kanye West memes when he be smiling, then he like. So you may catch me smiling every now and then, but I'm gonna be like, I don't really want to be here. So, but point is you got to be open. You got to be honest.
Yeah.
Look, I really don't like this. I really don't like doing this. And then, then you can come to the place to where sometimes if it's that important to you,
right,
then I need to make some adjustments and say, you know what? I know it's important to my wife to do this. It's important to my wife to be here. So I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm really gonna. It's not faking, but it's putting at that point it's putting your spouse before yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it, with one of the things like with shopping. Oh, I hate shopping. And it was last week.
You went to the grocery store with
yeah.
her? Yeah.
And she was like, "You want to come to Sam's?" So I figured it was Sam's. So I'm like, "We're gonna just grab a couple things." It wasn't. But I was like, you know what? This is time spending with my spouse. This is part of her love language. I'm filling up her love tank, so that way. And when the love tank is full, you know what I'm saying? I can withdraw from the love tank.
Okay.
Anyway, so open communication.
Open communication.
So communicate openly, honestly, often about everything.
Yeah.
Everything. All right. So in wrapping up this episode, a couple of things, we wanted to remind you that, if you want to reach out to us, if you want to contact us, you can do so at info@marriagematters2us. That's Marriage Matters, TOUS, to us.com. Info@marriagematters2us. Look, send us questions, send us show topics, things you want us to discuss. And Marriage Matters is kind of like Vegas. What happens here stays here.
Yes.
So all of this, you can remain anonymous. We will not, mention your name unless you want us to.
Right.
But we want send questions, show topics, all of that. Also, on social media, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Marriage Matters 0526. At Marriage Matters 0526. Also on YouTube, follow us on YouTube.
Please
Subscribe to the channel, and also next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell there, and if you click that bell icon, then you'll get notified every time we post a video.
Yes.
So, that's all we have for you today. So just remember, man, look, if you want a healthy marriage consists of complete communication, open communication, truthful communication,
honesty.
So openly, honestly, often about everything. No topic should be off limits for you and your spouse to discuss and to communicate about. All right?
Absolutely.
Well, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman. We want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Marriage Matters. And remember, your marriage matters.